Hi there, welcome to you. Breaking news for you about Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa. Is Eritrea closing its embassy in Addis Ababa? What does it indicate? Is it another high in bilateral tensions? Is Ethiopia going to close its embassy in Asmara? Are the relations, bilateral tensions have reached the level of no return? What is happening? Alarming developments. The two countries, allies in the war against Tigray fighters, are now at odds. Differences seem to be huge. Let's start, viewers. We know that Eritrea and Ethiopia restored diplomatic ties in 2018. They fought a war in 1998, almost 2 year long war. The diplomatic relations were cut off during large part of EPRDF's rule in Ethiopia. Ethiopia-Eritrea relations remained very tense. When Pimabi came to power, diplomatic ties were restored. Eritrean embassy in Ethiopia, Ethiopian embassy in Eritrea started diplomatic work. The two countries signed some agreements too. They announced to work for economic integration. Then they jointly fought Tigray fighters. 2020 war in northern Ethiopia against Tigray fighters was jointly fought by EDF, Eritrean Defense Force, and Ethiopian National Defense Force. But things changed after Pretoria, and especially after PM Abiy delivered a speech about access to sea. He implied that Ethiopia had natural right to gain access to ports like Assab without mentioning Eritrea. Yemabi's message was clear. He threatened Eritrea back then. Then he signed agreement with MOU with Somaliland, opposed by Somalia. Eritrea, Egypt could not be implemented. These days, Ethiopia in talks with Somalia for sea access. Breaking news is from Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. It is being reported that Eritrean embassy has begun operations or activities to close itself in Addis Ababa. Its closure is now happening. The staff is leaving. The place is being vacated reportedly. No official announcement from Ethiopian government or Eritrean government so far, but sources there, diplomatic community there, they say that they have seen unusual movement at the embassy, and some embassy officials are confirming on condition of anonymity that they are going to close the embassy in Addis Ababa. Eritrea has an African Union representative too, who is based in Addis Ababa. Maybe that representative will continue work, but other diplomatic staff of the embassy who were representing Eritrean embassy in Ethiopia, they're going to leave. Beniam Berhe, I think, is shocked the affairs of Eritrean embassy in Ethiopia. We're waiting for official confirmation. Maybe you won't see any official statement, but so far, reportedly, the activities at the embassy indicate that embassy is being closed. What will Ethiopia do? tit for tat. Will it close its embassy in Asmara? We don't know. But I think Ethiopian embassy in Asmara has been without an ambassador. And the two embassies have been largely dormant recently after the start of bilateral tensions. The embassies curtailed their activities. It's definitely a bad news for bilateral relations, for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. Bad news for Eritreans too. There are tens of thousands of Eritreans in Ethiopia, and sometimes they need access to Eritrean embassy. If there is no embassy, if there is no consular service in Ethiopia for Eritrean refugees, it means that they'll have to seek support of Eritrean embassy somewhere else, not in Ethiopia. Definitely not a good news for tens of thousands of Eritreans in Ethiopia. Firstly. Secondly, if embassy is closed, which I think is going to be closed, it would indicate another high in bilateral tensions. It means that gradually the situation is reaching the point of no return. What will happen after that, by the way? Now, the way things are heating up so rapidly, anything can happen. I have been saying, if you remember, that channels of communication should never be cut off. Once two countries cut off channels of communication, it leads to more tensions. It means that they don't stay in touch, then those forces which want to undermine the relations between the two countries, they intervene. If Ethiopia withdraws its diplomatic staff from Asmara and Eritrea closes its embassy in Ethiopia, it means that those who are against Eritrea Ethiopia peace deals, they will have the opportunity to interfere. They'll complicate matters. Though these two countries don't need outsiders, by the way, they are themselves fully capable of making a mess of their bilateral relations. You see how rapidly uh, politics change, alliances change in the Horn of Africa. The two were jointly fighting against Tigray fighters. In 2020, Eritrea gave shelter to Ethiopian National Defense Force members when Tigray fighters attacked Northern Command on the 3rd of November 2020. Then Eritrea jointly fought with to support ENDF to crush Tigray fighters. TPLF could not be crushed. Rather, TPLF managed to survive. And by the way, interesting thing is that TPLF has been accusing Eritrea of destroying Tigray. Now, one faction of TPLF is in touch with Isas Afwerki government, seeking to form an alliance there. So, yesterday's enemies are today's allies. Yesterday's allies are turning into today's enemies. Let's hope that some miracle happens, the two leaders talk at some level, and tension is diffused. So far, things are not looking good for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. We'll keep you updated. The way Ethiopia is backing Eritrean opposition groups, very close to Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, hosted Eritrean opposition groups. The way Ethiopia is backing Eritrean opposition groups, it is definitely difficult for Eritrean embassy to continue work in Ethiopia. Brigade Now the people met in Addis Ababa, and the distance was less than a kilometer away between the venue where Brigade Ham the people met and the location of Eritrean embassy. It was a strong message by Ethiopia to Eritrea. And then we saw that Eritrean opposition groups were seen in a far region in Tigray to close to Eritrean border. And they clearly said that they're going to arm themselves. They're going to be trained on Ethiopian soil using a far region as its headquarters to remove Isaias Afwerki from power. And then Mulatto wrote an article, and he clearly said that Eritrea is backing Fano. Eritrea is conspiring with Tipa Debretsion Wing. Eritrea is stoking a war. Eritrea wants to wage another war in northern Ethiopia. Eritrea denied. Eritrea Minister of Information said that Ethiopia is trying to scapegoat Eritrea for inter-Ethiopian conflicts. But all that happened shows that there is serious deficit of trust between the two countries. Both are making preparation. And then I did a video I told you about general mobilization ordered in Eritrea. Veterans, retired soldiers are being recalled. Refresher military training courses are going to start in Eritrea. Eritrean military has been told to be on alert. A lot is happening, not good for peace and stability. I would reiterate what I've been saying, that 2025 is the year of Ethiopia, Eritrea tension, and political upheaval in Ethiopia. Thanks for watching.